We will not fear anyone because our fight is a fight for love, is a fight for democracy, is a fight for humanity. And I am saying it clear and loud.
Yes.
To President Trump and his cabinet.
Yes.
I am not afraid of you.
Columbia student organizer Mohsen Madawi is free on bail after a judge ordered his release from federal immigration custody today. He has a green card and was a key organizer of pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University last year. Of course, he was detained by DHS agents 2 weeks ago during his naturalization interview in Vermont. The Nightcap is still with us. Reed, what do you make of this? Because there he is. He is so happy to be freed. It's a huge positive for his supporters. But President Trump is happy that this is back in the news. He would rather have him on TV than all of us sitting here talking about the economy.
I think that's right, and we have to understand one thing about MAGA or these kinds of movements. This is a tactical retreat for a purpose. They let him out exactly for, there wasn't just like, oh, you know what, we treated him wrong. We shouldn't have picked him up. Let's let him go. He's a good guy. No,
explain this.
It's
yes,
absolutely
yes.
Because to your point, like, what did we just say during the break? Who are they going after? People of Latino descent and people with Arabic last names, right? This guy is now at the top of the news, right? Everything else is falling apart. This brings his people back together. It reminds maybe those soft Republicans and conservative independents why they voted for him in the first place. He's keeping us safe. He's taking care of immigration. He's making sure that people who love America get to stay here and people who don't maybe don't get to.
He's giving those soft Republicans a topic to pivot to tonight when they don't want to talk about GDP. When they don't want to talk about the economy, they can say, but look how tough things are getting at the border.
Look, I texted with a friend of mine this morning. He started with, immigration. I like what he's doing on DOGE. He went back into the economy. I'm worried about that. And he ended at immigration. It was in a text message. It literally was A, B, A again. And that's exactly what stuff like this does.
I see you're nodding your head. You agree?
No, I agree. Yeah, these are the fights he wants to have, right? The case of Abrego Garcia, right? The Maryland man who was sent by the administration's own admission wrongly to El Salvador. A judge said he should not be sent. Trump could have snapped his fingers and had him back in a minute. Nobody would have noticed. It wouldn't have been an issue. He wanted to have this fight. He wants to have this fight. And he said this, of course, in this interview with ABC. Yeah, I could bring him back, but I'm not going to, even though the Supreme Court said that he has to facilitate that. He is happy to have this fight because it does galvanize people who voted for him. Says, yeah, he's standing up for America. He's standing up against people who are thugs and bad guys and immigrants. And we don't know what they've done, but we don't want them here.
All right, let's talk Ukraine for a moment, because the U.S. and Ukraine just signed an economic deal that does include terms of rare minerals. Explain this to us, how important it is, because this is something Trump has been saying he's wanted for quite some time. He doesn't like to give for the sake of giving.
Right.
He's got to get something.
This is Trump's way of saying we're not giving a blank check anymore. We gave you all this money, not him, but President Biden and the Congress gave the Ukraine all this money to help them win their war. So now you have to pay us something back, even though I'm now negotiating a Russia-favored peace deal that you might not like. Now, here's the thing. If there's no peace deal, this economic agreement doesn't mean anything, because they're not going to be able to get these minerals from the part of the country that's currently in war, right? This is where most of those minerals would be, is in the place where they're having the fighting. So in some ways, you could say it motivates Trump to actually get that deal. The question is whether it motivates Putin, and that's not at all clear, because Putin is the one who clearly doesn't want to stop this war at this point.
How do you think Russia is looking at this?
Well, I mean, look, it's a sideshow, okay? It's a sideshow that all revolves around the ego and interests and inclinations of Donald Trump. So Ukraine, rather than, having its partner, friend, and ally, the United States, helping it to achieve peace with Russia on terms that are viable, Ukraine is in the position of being forced to negotiate with its ostensible ally, the United States, because Donald Trump has come in and said, basically, I don't support you anymore, in the way that it wasn't Joe Biden who just gave that money. It was a huge bipartisan consensus in this country. The United States of America spoke actually with one voice at a time when it's very hard for the United States to speak with one voice. The other thing is, it's very misleading, I think, to people who might not be paying as close attention. They say, oh, well, there's some incremental progress being made. I can't emphasize enough, this is not one step closer to a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. This has nothing to do with making Russia more likely to end its unprovoked illegal invasion of its neighbor. And that's the bottom line.
Last point to you.
I think if you still believe that Vladimir Putin believes that Russia is an empire with Ukraine and it isn't one without one, I don't think we should expect that he's going to come to the peace table for real anytime soon.